And everyone, welcome to this meeting of Castle Douglas Common Good on 15th November 2023. I'm not going through all the usual remote participation. We're all old enough, done this often enough now. I don't believe there's any need for that. And I do agree to remote participation from Councillor Young. Cedric and apologies. I believe that we're all participating at the meeting. Anything to add to that, Sean? No.
John's here.
Right, very good. Item 2, declaration of interest. Any members got any? I see Councillor Brysdale following.
Chair, the declaration of interest, just to make other members aware that I was involved a bit with the information panel in 4.9 in the financial plan with the discussions with the designer, but to that, to this end, I don't believe it's important enough that I need to leave the room and have any discussions about anything in this agenda item. Thank you, Chair.
Very good. Any others? No, nothing else coming up. Item 3, Castle Douglas Common Good Fund final outturn 22-23 and financial plan 23-24. Report by Director of Communities. Sean, who's taking us through this? Very good. Are you wanting my paper?
Yeah, so this is taking the financial objective, the financial plan. It's to maintain the financial health of the fund, maximise and manage the level of fee income available for distribution by the subcommittee, as detailed in 4.6 of the report. Also to ask members today to agree to the financial plan 23.
Sorry, I can't really hear Councillor Young. Is it possible for John to move nearer the microphone?
Sorry, John, can you hear me now?
Loud and clear, yes.
Great. I'll start again. So members are asked today to agree the financial objective of the financial plan, and to remind that's to maintain the financial health of the fund and maximise and manage the level of free income available for distribution by the Common Good Subcommittee as detailed in 4.6. Also to agree the financial plan for 23-24 as set out in Appendix 1, and note the financial outturn 22-23 in Appendix 1 and the balance sheet in Appendix 2. Nothing really to add to the report, Chair, just maybe to draw attention to the rent figures that is based on an estimate of that can be lower or no income, so really need some advice from our property officers and liaising with the tenant when we think that those rent figures will come back into play. So that's really the only thing to add at this stage.
Very good. Nick, are you in a position to join us to answer any questions on that?
Yes. Just to inform you as members that we had contractors on site. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, that we had contractors on site today to complete the downtaking for the dry rot works. The specialist contractors for the dry rot will go in on Monday, and we're looking at sort of January, towards the end of January, for completion of fit out of the shop and having the floors ready for the conclusion of the sale to the housing trust. So I would suggest to you that sort of mid-February you'll be receiving income again for rent from the King Street shop. We will then relet the St Andrew Street shop, and the sale will conclude, I would think, this financial year for the flat above. In
Very
terms
good.
of, yeah.
Oh, sorry, go on.
5 St Andrew Street, where Galloway Glens were, we've currently got that advertised for let, offers over 4,500 per annum. as office accommodation. If we get no takers, we'll consider reducing that rental ask. And then if there really is no one interested in office space in Castle Douglas, I would suggest that we come back to Castle Douglas Common Good Committee to seek authority to dispose.
Very good. Nick. What kind of time are you considering between to come to that conclusion? Are you talking about maybe 3 months, 6 months, or?
I would hope that perhaps April or May time we'll either have let it or we'll be coming back to say, in our opinion, we think we should probably consider disposing of the offices. The office market's very flat at the minute. Nobody wants an office. We're all, well, apart from me, everyone else is working from home.
Very good. Questions, Wally?
Hi, Nick. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thanks, Pauline.
Hiya. Okay, a few questions, Nick. So why does the Galloway Glen's office only have to be let to office space? Could it be rented for any other purpose, or are there stipulations in the contract that it can only be office space? And B, do you think that's the correct amount of time to wait till as late as April next year? Because obviously there'll be no income between then and now if it doesn't get rented out. So that's my first question, and then I'll come back to some other questions about the other King Street and St Andrew Street property, if that's okay. Okay,
so the council can't be a landlord for housing. We are barred by law from being a housing landlord now. That's following what they called the LSVT when we disposed of our council house stock to HP at the time. So we're denied the ability to let it out for housing. So if we received offers for housing, we'd have to say, I'm sorry, we can't do that. But if we received offers for someone who wanted to, any other use that was not housing, then we would be obliged to consider that. And there may be the market for something like that, we're talking beauticians or, any other sort of thing that isn't housing.
Understood. Thank you. Can I come back in, Nick? Chair, to yourself?
Aye.
So, for example, it could be a nursery or a beautician or used for another purpose, potentially. So, can I just ask where it's been advertised for rent at the moment?
So at the moment it is it's on or it will be in either today or tomorrow on the council's website. It then gets a feed to a company called Nova Loca, who are they take a lot of council's website feeds for property, and it's international in its outlook. So we're not just advertising in lowly Dumfries and Galloway.
Okay, thank you, Nick. So the next two questions are, well, one question, I suppose, Golden, which is to do with two properties. So at the moment, we have a tenant in St Andrew Street at the client studio who's desperately waiting to get back into her main street fronted property, King Street. You're now saying that that will possibly be the middle of February, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And if it's any later than that, will the tenant be communicated with right through the process?
Yes. I mean, although I know the tenant fairly well at King Street, we have struggled so much to find a contractor to undertake this work. We're very limited in the choice of dry rock contractors. I didn't have news for her, if you like. I was repeating the same thing. We're trying to get a contractor to do the work. But now that we have a start date for the contract, we'll keep it up to date, possibly fortnightly.
Can I come back in? Okay, now I totally understand that because Richardson and Starling whichever the contractor is that's been chosen, they're few and far between in Dumfries and Galloway for damp rock and dry rock. I do understand that. but I think it's really important, just out of courtesy to all tenants in our ward, if that's okay with yourself, to really keep this tenant updated as you would with any property, because she's trying to trade and keep herself afloat. She's a very important tenant to business in Castle Douglas, to us.
Yes, I would agree.
And our constituents and the visitors to the town. If that's okay with you, I'd really appreciate if she was communicated with as regularly as possible. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, Councillor.
Thank you very much.
John?
Thanks, Chair. I think Pauline's covered quite a bit of what I was going to say. This is probably nonsense. We have a tenant for the shop in King Street. A property lying empty entails quite considerable costs, insurance rates, etc. Has that tenant been approached to see if she would take on both properties at perhaps a reduced rate? So that's my first point. Shall I let you answer that, Nick, and come back?
Aye, absolutely. We have had conversations of that type surrounding this. She actually, quite a good idea. Could she link the two shops? And she might be interested in doing that. There's obviously a cost to the council for doing this. The dry rot works are being funded out with the Common Good Fund. As you're all aware as elected members, the cupboard is becoming increasingly bare. So I can certainly have that further discussion with her to see if she would like to, take both shops on. Unfortunately, I don't think her proposal to link the two shops is possibly feasible at the moment. But as I say, I'll have further extended discussions with her on that subject. Thanks,
Nick. That's reassuring. The other thing is, you talk. Obviously, we know the council can't be a landlord. The old citizens' advice is that number 3 St Andrew Street was sold for about 60,000, and was that first of all going to be converted into flats? And to ask a wee bit of a further question, the Galloway Glens office, are registered social landlords able to purchase that and perhaps convert it into flats? Or can a private investor purchase it and then go through planning and convert it into flats? Is it just the council that can't use this property for housing?
So I'll answer your last question first. The process by which we went through for the large-scale voluntary transfer when we sold our council houses to DGHP, that particular piece of legislation prevents us from being a social landlord. It means we can't offer a housing lease. Getting back to the other ones, the 3 St Andrew Street, the developer who bought that, his plan, as far as I'm aware, is to convert it into 2 flats. There is nothing to prevent a purchaser of 5 St Andrew Street, where Galloway Glens were, from buying that and turning it into flats or even a house, subject to him gaining planning permission, of course.
That's good news. Thanks, Nick.
Okay.
Nick, Pauline? Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Just one last question, Nick. Thank you for all the answers so far. I'm just wondering if you could stay on at the end of this meeting with myself and the other councillors, just to have a quick discussion about some utility bills, please, on one of the properties in Castle Douglas, which we need to discuss as a matter of urgency. Thank you.
Well, I can maybe answer that just now. The supply for 32 St Andrew Street shop is being transferred to the council.
There's been an update on that today. Are you aware of that, Nick? With regards to a visit having been paid to a property.
Well, no, it's okay. I'm willing. Yes, we'll speak after the meeting then.
That'd be great. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
Very good. Members, anything else on agenda item 3? Are we happy to go to the recommendations? Happy to go. Happy to agree the financial objective and financial plan. To maintain the financial health and fund and maximise and manage the level of free income available for distribution by the Common Food Subcommittee at detail 4.6. Happy with that? 2.2, agree the financial plan 23-24 as set out in Appendix 1. No dissent, so we'll go with that. And note the financial outturn for 22-23 Appendix 1 and the balance sheet in Appendix 2. All content with that? Very good, thank you. On to item 4. Well, that was, or where am I looking here? Well, item 4 there, I think we just almost dealt with that. Property update on sales, rents and works progress on 212 King Street, Castle Douglas. Verbal update at committee. That's all. Happy with that. We've just had that. Okay. Item 5, erection of changing places toilet at Lochside Park, Castle Douglas. Report by Head of Economy and Resources. Members are asked 1 to agree the erection of changing places toilet adjacent to the new inclusive play park at Lochside Park, Castle Douglas, and 2 to apply to the Sheriff for consent to alienate the ground detailed in the appendix. Who's taking us through this one? Is this Nick? You still on, Nick?
I am indeed.
Yeah, you just want to run us through this one, please?
Yeah, so it's basically the nature of the title position of that area of the park means that for us to erect a toilet, we need first the consent of the Common Good Committee. Once we have that, we then do, I think it's 6 or 8 weeks public consultation, saying if you're asking the public or other interested bodies if they have any objection to changing the use of the piece of land that the toilet will sit on. If we get any representation from that consultation, we are then obliged to report back to ourselves, and also to note any items of response that we get on the council website. Then we have to apply to the sheriff to gain his consent to what they call alienate the property. And if that's the case, he says yes, and we seem to be getting through the sheriff consents quite quickly now. We then have consent to go ahead and erect the changing places toilet.
Very good, thanks. John?
Thanks, Chair. No, a quick question. Once the changing places toilets up and running, who's responsible for the day-to-day cleaning and maintenance of that?
I'm perhaps not the best equipped to answer that, but my assumption is that it will be the council.
I think that's my understanding as well, Nick.
Thanks, Nick and Ian.
Pauline?
Thanks very much, Chair. It was just to ask a couple of questions. As members have obviously read that it will go to consultation. And looking at what's going on in the park at the moment with the community asset transfer going through for the building at the bottom of the park, the all-inclusive play park, and again, the recent all-inclusive park run that's been instigated. As an elected member, I can't see there being any problems apart from the actual land, but I would like to suggest in recommendation 2.1, we possibly need to change the wording to read, and Nick, you can advise me on this, to the erection of a changing places toilet, comma, subject to the results of the consultation adjacent to the new inclusive play park at Lochside Park, Castle Douglas. Because at the moment, the recommendations do not include the consultation, and there may well be something that comes back that we are not aware of as members today. So it was just to ask your advice as chair, and also yourself, Nick, if you think that would be relevant, just to cover ourselves legally. I
think there's practicalities of where the toilet's going near to the existing toilet blocks, so the plumbing and all things was there. So I think as far as consultation goes, I don't think there's much room for manoeuvre on this one. What do you think, Nick?
The consultation is driven by the guidance notes from the Scottish Government and the accompanying legislation. For any inalienable land, we have to go through this process. It is the council's policy when we put in all-inclusive, include the changing places toilet, That's happened at all of the locations that we have done that so far. I'm not sure that that really answers your question, Councillor Drysdale, but
I think though, Chair, for yourself, Chair, I think if we don't put that in, we are actually recommending, in these recommendations, we are recommending the toilet goes ahead, the alienation is accepted. We're not, in the recommendations, we are not taking on board any results of any consultation. To me, the wording is a little bit questionable.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. I think we need to take on board just be wary of the fact that we need to wait until the community. We are a common good committee and we have to take on board our views of our community, which I'm sure will be fine. But if we don't, we're just saying we're agreeing to go ahead.
Right. Maybe a slight difference of view from myself, because if you're going to consult, you've got to the response of the consultation has to be factored in, and I'm not sure the physicality of that area is going to allow us to deviate greatly from.
But Chair, it could be something to do with the design of it for the type of disabled person, for example. If you read in legal, the land on which children places toilet is located in an inalienable common good. Therefore, the Community Empowerment Scotland Act must be undertaken to establish the views of local people. Thereafter, an application to the sheriff will be made. So that therefore needs to be in 2.1 or 2.2.
Sean,
just on that point, Chair, I maybe suggest that it brings a report back to this committee following the consultation period if there's any representations. And at that point, it would be that point that the members agree. You're basically agreeing at the moment to allow the consultation to happen, but on the proviso that you're happy with the representation.
Very good. Are you happy with that? Nick, is he here?
Yeah, basically just to add to what Sean said there. So we do our public consultation. If we have no responses, then we make the application to the sheriff. If we do get responses, we're obliged to report them back to yourselves.
Right. Okay. Are you content with that?
Chair, can you come in again? Yeah. I'm happy with that, as long as it doesn't delay the process too much, that's all. Because obviously everyone's desperate, use the word, desperate to happen as quickly as possible because of all the additional activity in children and disabled children that are using the park. Thank you, Chair.
Very good.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other comments on this particular item from members? No. Go to the recommendations then. Members are asked to agree to the erection of a changing places toilet adjacent to the new inclusive play park, Offside Park, Castle Douglas. We've done that. And 2.2, to apply to the sheriff for consent to alienate the ground detailed in the appendix. Are we content with that? We appear to be. Very good. I have no other business deemed urgent at this time. So thank you very much, members, and that will bring the meeting to a close.